She like the way I dance. She like the way I move. She like the way I rock. Hey, I see you, nigga. I see you.
Oh, you think you love? I see you, baby. I see you, baby. You think you love?
Before the chart-topping albums, the viral dance moves, and the designer fits, there was just a kid from Canarsie, Brooklyn. To understand Pop Smoke, you have to understand the energy of the Flowsy. It's a neighborhood defined by ambition, a specific kind of style, and a grit that you can't fake. Bashar Jackson wasn't a child prodigy groomed for the spotlight. He was a late bloomer who found his voice almost by accident during a late-night session in a Brooklyn studio. But the moment that baritone rumble hit the microphone, everyone in the room knew the axis of the city had shifted. He was the architect of a new sonic bridge, one that connected the cold, industrial sliding bass of UK drill beats with the raw, aggressive spirit of New York street rap. He didn't just borrow the sound, he colonized it. He was recording tracks that felt like a high-speed chase through the Belt Parkway, dangerous, rhythmic, and impossible to ignore. When Welcome to the Party dropped in the summer of 2019, it wasn't just a hit song, it was a hostile takeover of the airwaves. He wasn't asking for a seat at the high table of New York hip-hop. He was kicking the door down and bringing the whole neighborhood with him. The Woo movement and the global shift. By the end of 2019, the Woo wasn't just a local slang term. It was a global phenomenon. Pop Smoke possessed a magnetic charisma that felt decades older than his 20 years. He moved with the quiet confidence of a seasoned veteran, turning every stage, from local clubs to international festivals, into his own personal playground. This era was a glitch in the matrix for the music industry because drill music, traditionally dark, brooding, and strictly underground, was suddenly being played in the most exclusive VIP sections in the world. He was the first artist to truly make drill swing. He had a natural melodic sensibility that allowed him to pivot effortlessly from the aggressive, bone-rattling bars of Christopher Walken to the smooth, R&B-influenced vibes that would later define his posthumous success. He was proving to the world that Brooklyn drill didn't have to stay in the trenches. It could be high art, it could be mainstream, and it could be the undisputed soundtrack to the summer. He became the face of the New York resurgence, a beacon for a city that had been hungry for a new king for a very long time. The Gutter and the Penthouse. In early 2020, the Gutter officially met the Penthouse in a way the rap game hadn't seen since the early 2000s. Pop Smoke was no longer just a local hero. He was a burgeoning superstar being mentored by the legends he grew up watching, most notably 50 Cent. There was a passing of the torch happening in real time. He was flying to Paris for Fashion Week, his deep voice echoing through the front rows of the world's most prestigious runway shows. He had that rare, untouchable it factor, the ability to look just as comfortable in a custom Dior suit as he did in a tech fleece on a Canarsie corner. He was spending his days and nights in the studio working on his debut studio album, Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon. It was a project designed to showcase his incredible range, blending the hard-hitting drill that made him famous with soulful samples and pop appeal. He was sampling icons like Tamia and 50 Cent, effectively stitching together the classic New York sound with his modern Brooklyn energy. He was the bridge between the golden era and the future. But even as the lights got brighter and the circles got smaller, the gravity of his roots remained. He was everybody's everything in the Brooklyn scene, a leader who carried the hopes and dreams of his borough on his back, the smoke that never clears. The final chapter of the Pop Smoke story was written thousands of miles away from the brick buildings of Brooklyn. On February 19, 2020, while staying in Los Angeles, Bashar Jackson was tragically and senselessly taken from us. He was only 20 years old, a king whose reign was cut short just as he was preparing to conquer the global stage. The news hit New York like a physical blow. The city didn't just lose its most promising artist, it lost its heartbeat. But a king's influence doesn't die with him, it deepens. His posthumous album debuted at #1, a bittersweet victory that proved his vision for the future was correct. He had successfully aimed for the moon and hit the stars, leaving behind a body of work that would define the sound of a generation. Songs like Dior became more than just club hits. They became anthems of resilience and pride, played at protests and celebrations across the globe. He left behind a blueprint for every drill artist that followed, showing them that the sound of the streets could reach the pinnacle of the charts without ever losing its soul. The eternal woo. We lost Bashar that day, but the woo is permanent. You hear his baritone rumble in every drill beat that echoes out of car speakers from London to Lagos. You see his influence in the way the new generation of New York rappers carries themselves, with that same big woo, energy, and unshakable pride. He was a son, a brother, a leader, and a visionary. He was the kid from Canarsie who told us all to meet the woo. And in doing so, he invited the whole world to witness the rise of a legend. Rest in peace, Hop. The smoke will never clear.